It's been about 3 months since Dreyfus Commodities took over control of the grain elevator at the Port of Greater Baton Rouge. AJ Sabine is now standing by with this week's in-studio guest to give us the latest. AJ?
Mike, as farmers wrap up their corn and start their soybean harvest, they can't help but wonder about what's going on down at the Port of Greater Baton Rouge. And here to talk more about that is David Bollich with Dreyfus Commodities, who is the commercial manager down there at the port. And Dave, what is the progress with this year's harvest going on down at the Port of Greater Baton Rouge?
Well, I think right now we've largely wrapped up the corn harvest and everything, winding down big time on the milo here. And I think from here on out it'll be pretty much a soybean show here. It's been steady here. Early bean yields I think have been disappointing from historical standards, but I think better than expected is what you hear from. Even the poor yields still better than expected and everything. So we're looking for things to be fairly steady, and then we'll move into mid part of September and get into the main harvest when the later varieties come on. Hopefully we'll get a little rain this weekend and everything, kind of finish off those later varieties. But we have good potential, I think, on it. Just need to finish out the crop.
And speaking of the crop, folks want to know more about the corn crop. I know that corn was kind of disappointing. Kind of fill in the blanks on what's going on with that particular crop.
Well, we had a problem with aflatoxin this year. One thing I think, if there was a silver lining there, it was a good year to evaluate something like Aflagard, which is a treatment that a lot of farmers tried a little bit of this year, to try and help them with aflatoxin in the crop. And at least the results that we saw and everything looked pretty good on it. So we're fired up about that, because I'd like nothing more than to see corn acreage in South Louisiana come back to where it was, back in the 90s before aflatoxin became such an issue. And at least the results we've seen, look pretty good for that from that standpoint.
Now, David, as farmers were busy harvesting their soybeans and their corn, you've been busy down at the port trying to be ready for the transition moving forward. Kind of fill in, folks, on what's going on with the port, particularly since you guys are planning to shut down on November 1st.
Well, since we took over on June 1, it's been a question of just going through the plant, making sure everything's ready to go to handle this year's harvest. We've done nothing as far as any structural changes or anything there. All about making sure we can handle the crop this year. And so far, things have been going smoothly. A few issues come up on almost every day you deal with that stuff, but we've got a really good crew going over there, and I think we're giving a good service right now to it. The big improvement, of course, will start this fall, and right now tentative date of November 1, when we will hopefully be empty of grain at the elevator, pull a plug on electricity, and then begin phase 1 of the construction there. Most of that construction is going to center around the dock. We'll be reworking the ship loading facility. We'll be putting in a brand new barge unloading facility there, and it's going to be top-notch stuff, but it's the first phase. It's easily the largest part of phase 1, and everything should start November 1, and then it's a question of getting into it, see if we run into any surprises and everything, hopefully be ready next fall. Will we be, the bigger question is, will we be ready with everything August 1? It's likely that we won't be through with everything at the dock, so we may not be loading ships August 1. I think likely we won't, but when will we be? So, we'll roll into that. I think by this spring we'll have a better feel for the exact timeline that we're going to have. We've already announced to farmers at the Farm Bureau Convention and afterwards that we will not be handling soft red wheat in May, this year's harvest and everything. Something we certainly wish we could do, but if we were to do that, you'd basically have to shut things down, gear up again, and probably delay that finish period by about 2 months. So I think all in all, and best to say we're going to forego that, give farmers as much lead time so they can make their planning decisions and everything. And I think we've met with pretty good support in the farm community for doing that, because like Dreyfus, I think the farm is looking forward to getting this construction behind us and then finally having a premier export facility where they can once again bring their grain.
And Dave, wrapping things up here, I know farmers are excited about the transition and about the promise that Dreyfus will grant to farmers in the future. But joining kind of the old with the new, you guys just announced you have a Twitter site where folks can log on and find out what's going on. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we're going to use a Twitter right now, and it's up and running and everything. Primarily right now is just to get information, day-to-day stuff to farmers, like truck dump hours and everything. Or if something happens where we have one of the dumps go down, anything that affects farmers who are coming in from day to day, we want to get out there and make sure they know it as soon as we can get it out to them. And later on, we'll have the website, you know, to complement that.
Thank you very much, Dave.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is David Bollich, the commercial manager for Louis Dreyfus Commodities, Inc. And Mike, looks like they're not going to be open for wheat harvest, but you can catch up and follow what's going on down there at the port on Twitter. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, AJ.